Hello crafters, I'm Sarita and I'm here to teach you some tips on finishing your cross-stitch projects, specifically how to use plastic canvas to make keychains, magnets, earrings, and more. Now, I get a ton of questions on how I back and finish my plastic canvas items, so I thought I'd make you a short video showing you my process. I've also linked a text-based tutorial down in the description below so that you can use as a reference while you're working. Now, there are many different ways to do this, so if you've been doing things a little bit differently, don't worry. Just use this video as inspiration to get you started and don't be afraid to experiment. Now, let's dive into today's project. First, let's talk about materials. Alright, we're working with plastic canvas today, and this can be found at craft stores or online. The most important thing to note, however, is that there are different sizes of plastic canvas. You'll want to choose the right plastic canvas based on your project. If you're at the craft store, you're most likely going to be finding this big 10 count canvas, which means there are 10 squares or stitches per inch, or 2.5 centimeters. Now, I like making smaller trinkets, so I look for the 14 count plastic canvas. Usually I end up having to order this online as it can be hard to find in stores, so I'll link some options down below for you in the description. Now, if you are ordering online, you'll also want to double check what color you're ordering. I prefer this clear as it doesn't leave a bold border around my work, but it comes in white as well and it can be easy to accidentally order the wrong color. I know I have done it. The second thing you need though is felt. You can use any color you think you'll go well with your project. I tend to favor black or white to keep things neutral, but you can pick these up in the small squares at craft stores, like Michael's, or pick it up online while you're ordering canvas. Lastly, you'll need your choice of finishing. Are you making a keychain? Do you have earring hooks ready? Are you putting together a magnet? Do you have a hair clip you want to spruce up? It's really up to you what you're making. I've linked some suggestions down in the description for you if you're wondering where I get my fixings. But I am curious, do you prefer the metal key rings or the thin cell phone straps? I've always wondered what people's preferences are, so leave a comment down below and let me know. Now that you have some plastic canvas, you'll want to start stitching your design. If you're using the 14 count canvas, 2 strands is usually enough for decent coverage. However, if you've picked up some 10 count, you may want to bump it up to 3 or 4 strands depending on how much coverage you want. Now, I typically stitch straight onto the sheet, so I know I have enough room for my design. I'll even stitch several designs before I end up cutting them all out. But you'll want to leave at least 2 squares between each design if you do that so that you can still cut them out. Now you'll want to cut out your finished design, making sure to leave a border around the stitches for integrity. I actually lost the footage I had of me cutting this out, so I apologize. But you can do this with an X-Acto knife or just with a normal pair of scissors. Just work your way around the design slowly, cutting off little excess pieces. Now, if you're planning to make this into a keychain, earrings, or anything else that you need to attach something to the outside of the charm, you want to choose to leave a few squares uncut to let you attach the finishing to it. That way it's stronger and enough to withstand a little bit of tugging. Now you'll want to get out your felt and cut out a square of felt a little bit bigger than the actual design. Now with a matching colored thread, you'll want to attach that felt to the canvas by stitching along the border of your design. Now, I typically knot my thread and just tuck the thread behind some of my existing stitches in order to anchor it. Work around your design, securing the felt on there with your stitching. You can do full back stitch, or you can just do like a running stitch around the edges like I'm doing. Both serve the same purpose, but you might prefer the look of that bold outline. Whichever one you do, Go ahead and stop when you have one full side still open. Alright. Now if you're not making a charm, this is a perfect time to slide in a little magnet. If you want something to stick to your fridge, or if you're making a needle minder. You could also tuck in a pin back, or like a flathead thumbtack, if that's what you're going for. That way the felt actually like secures it in place. And then you could sew it up then. Now, I like to fill my charms with a little bit of stuffing before closing it up. It gives it a little bit of weight and form. I just use polyester fiber fill, but I've seen other stitchers using their leftover thread ends or orts. So if you have a bunch of leftover threads, it's a great way to recycle them. You'll want to use something sharp. I usually have a metal chopstick that I use, but the edge of the scissors will work as well if you're careful. And then you'll want to go ahead and finish stitching the border. Then I usually tuck my end right into the fabric along the edge. Once it's all sewn up, it's time to cut off the excess felt. You'll want to use sharp scissors in order to get a nice clean cut, if you can. Once again, just like the plastic, slowly work your way around, trimming off the excess. Once the excess felt has been removed, you can attach that keychain you've been holding on for it, or you could attach it to a hair clip. I like to sew mine directly onto the back of the felt. Usually the hair clips I don't do filling. Sometimes with the charms I like to attach a little extra bead just to give them a little something extra. But there you have it, a simple way to make all sorts of usable cross-stitch items. Here's a needle minder, I have just an extra magnet. You can make pins. Backing your project is entirely optional, you don't have to. I like to because it gives a bit more of a finish rather than this like messy back. But you can also attach things directly. As I mentioned earlier, I've linked a text version of this tutorial down in the description so that you can reference it while stitching. If you've learned something from this video, please leave a like, and if you'd like to see more tutorials from me in the future, please subscribe as well. But if you'd prefer to watch me work live and ask questions in real time, you'll want to follow me on Twitch. If you just want pretty pictures of cross-stitch projects, Twitter and Instagram are the way to go. But whatever you decide to do, be sure to keep creating.